What is going on, everybody? This is Andrew from DeFiancy. All right, guys, we're just going to jump straight into this as usual. This is your daily update. It's 8 a.m. Friday, about 30 minutes before the New York Open. Right now, we're looking at the S&P 500's futures contract. We call that ES. And look, we talked about this the other day, or the last few days, going into the end of last week, actually, that, look, we were going to have a pullback. And here you go. This is it. Here's your pullback. Now the question is going to be was this 130 basis point drop here? Was that enough? I'm not here to really say yes or no on that, but we do have a constructive pullback in place here, and to me that was really important. Was that we really needed to see this to be able to have the really the confidence to be able to hold along for more than a scalp, because this was always going to happen. I mean, prices were never going to go above this 4,400 area very easily, given just how up and this has been. Eventually, people are going to get stopped out, and you're going to get this long liquidation. And there you go. Now, what caused this? Well, this was actually a multitude of things, but mainly a treasury auction that was held yesterday afternoon for the 30-year, and it didn't go well. You didn't have a lot of buyers, so the market reacted pretty nasty to that. That was basically like this 15-minute candle here. And then the subsequent selling, I think, was more just momentum after that. Like, people are going to start to hedge after they start to, after they get punched in the gut one time, they start to get scared, basically, and start to hedge and sell. So it was really just selling into the end of the session after that. I'm not surprised that all of this is bounced. We actually had long down here, and it just kept going down. So we ended up cutting it basically where we opened it, and I wish I would have held it. But yeah, I mean, this is probably going to keep ranging, or you could get a breakdown further, right? So that's really what we want to see, and I'm not here to really make that call yet. I'm just going to watch it. I mean, markets are generally going to look kind of bullish, I think, really for the next couple weeks, and I'm going to show you why. It doesn't mean that there can't be something that happens, but like all things, all things remaining equal. Look at this schedule here. So this is today, Friday. There's really nothing. I wouldn't say this is anything to change the market here in terms of the direction of the market right now. Yes, you have consumer sentiment. I really just don't believe that's going to affect the market that much. Some people may argue with me. We'll see. Just as you can see, it's not in red. Typically, red means a very important event. And then you go to next week, and you have core PPI. That's probably important. Obviously, CPI. But outside of that, I mean, I'm not really seeing anything other than unemployment claims. And you have this, meeting minutes. That shouldn't even be highlighted in red, because this is actually, they just say what they said last meeting. I'm showing you all this to say I don't really think there's going to be a lot of stuff to really freak the market out. I mean, yes, the market always hedges going into CPI, but there's a pretty good chance based off of the data I've seen that's probably going to be in line. Now, if that comes in hot, yeah, that's not going to be good, because the markets are pumping, and the Fed's definitely not going to like that. But for the most part, what I'm saying is I think you're now in the gameplay zone. Now, markets are always a game, but really this is just going to be game theory here. Like, a lot of participants want to buy. I think people need to understand that. There's this idea that, like, everybody wants to short, and, like, no one wants to buy stocks right now. That's just not true. The Wall Street in general operates by buying stocks. Like, they don't make money by shorting. Some people do, but for the most part, people buy assets. Okay, so I think people need to understand that being a bear in this market is not going to pay off over the long haul. Like, you need to be bearish at specific times. Like, yes, you can be short-term bearish when you have a move like this. This was kind of common sense. But for the most part, realize that, like, you have animal spirits. People want to buy things. They want to buy assets, okay? And it's really important you understand that, because if not, you'll get caught into this, like, doomer, like, economic forecasting. And if you go by that, then hell, then we need to just go to zero, and we need to go live in a bunker and start buying beans and rice, okay? I mean, if you listen to these people, you'd never buy anything. You wouldn't be trading, right? You would be hiding underground. I mean, I'm like exaggerating here, but you can't really think like that and trade. You have to just look at things for what they are and what the opportunities are. And I can tell you, Max Payne right now is up. It isn't down, it is up. A lot of people are on the sideline. Most of this move has been a short squeeze. So I'm at the point now where I'm heavily leaning on, look, you should probably buy the dip. Now, again, I'm not saying that this is going to go up today or even tomorrow. It's Friday, and usually Friday you do get some volatility. You do get some decent moves. We're just going to observe it for the first 15 minutes like we do, and then go from there. And we're just going to scalp this around. If we get a pullback back down somewhere closer to here, I'm going to be looking to long. So if we get a pullback closer to, anywhere really in here, I'm not going to be that picky. 69, 55, somewhere in here, we'll be looking to long. And if we come up to this 4,400 area, I'm looking to short. It's that simple. Because I'm leaning that we're not going to break this level very easily here. Now, we did have this pullback, so that might be what we needed to break it. So I'm not saying it can't break. But until it breaks, I'm going to short it. And at some point, you'll be wrong. Okay, cool. That's one loss of a trade, right? But if it gets up here, we're looking to short. If it gets down here, we're looking to long. If it breaks down lower here and can't get back above, that's a short I'd like to hold probably to 4,300 or lower. So that's how I see it right now. Or maybe 43.30. 43.30. I'd have to look at my levels here. But yeah, just playing it by ear here. I mean, if you want my opinion, and we don't really like to do longer term projections here, but if you really want my opinion on going into the into the year that this is going to be trading higher, that's just my personal. It's just where I'm at now. I do think that again, you're probably going to get a pullback. I would not be surprised, or actually, I'm expecting at some point to probably retest this 4,300. But I think people are going to see it as a buying opportunity. And once you break this downtrend, it's going to get aggressive. And I'm not going to be surprised to see this back at 4,500 or higher going into the end of the year. That's my base case. Look, if we get something that changes, if we get some data or something that changes that, that outlook for me, then of course I'll change. But that's where I'm at right now. I'm a scalper, so if that doesn't play out, I'm not going to be bothered by it. But in case you're wondering. Yields are falling from yesterday. They had been pumping yesterday. That's good. We have VIX that's falling right now. That's really good. We really want to see that. Don't want to see that go higher into the end of the day. Excuse me. And we got Bitcoin. That's let's go into Bitcoin here. So look, it is just being Bitcoin. So you get these breakouts, and then you get back into chop mode. You had a huge breakout on ETH here, and ETH actually basically got up to its high of the year, which is 2,100. That's great. Congrats to people who hit that trade. But again, what I said yesterday, we're at the phase now where these are just not attractive levels. Now, I do like how it's still kind of chopping around here, and it has regained here. Like, I'm optimistic. I'm not saying this thing has to crash, but I think if you give it enough time, we're probably going to get some kind of pullback here. I mean, maybe it's after the approval. Things are just getting kind of toppy, guys. I mean, I don't know how to put it any other way. Look at Solana. I mean, this thing is a absolute face melter, and that's great. We love that. But the reality is the higher it goes without some kind of constructive price action to the downside, the more likely that you're in a bad trade being in it. It's just the way it is. That might not be what you want to hear, but you're not in up-only season just yet. And again, not bearish, but when I look at this, I see overextended prices, right? And it's probably going to end up like we saw earlier this year, where eventually the market it's not able to grind higher. Miners step in, the U.S. government has Bitcoin to sell. People just naturally figure out that, okay, well, I think that's about as high as we're going to get for now. And they start selling, and it's in a liquid market. So it's not going to take a lot to get us back down to 33 or 32. Now, we might be trading higher before that, but basically, again, not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but people really need to be careful with crypto here. Now, some of these altcoins I have a different opinion on. I think some of these altcoins are in great shape, to be honest. Like something like Doge, I mean, it hasn't really even broken out yet. So I like Doge here. Again, don't be surprised to see these things dip tremendously. I mean, look at this dip you had yesterday. Just put it in perspective for you. That was a 12% dip. So if you were using 10% leverage, if you would have bought right here thinking you're buying at the breakout, which you probably were, like somewhere in here, you could have been liquidated. Or not liquidated, but you would have lost all of your profits and probably got stopped out on some kind of trailing stop, right? Yeah. So what I'm saying is you have to be careful with these alts. They do this, okay? And I'm not going to be surprised to see them retrace quite a bit. But some of them look good. Like I like this one too. This is Synthetix. Let's take out some of these drawings here. Again, big, consolidation. Hasn't really broken out yet. So yeah, I like this one. So there's some good alts, and we're gonna talk about those in the Discord. But for the most part, things are actually looking pretty toppy. Like I can show you a lot of alts right now that look like they're pretty toppy. Like this, like I don't even know what you say about XRP, but what even is this? Such a weird chart. That looks kind of toppy, low time frame. You have OP that got to this range high from back in August, looking kind of toppy, right? So, be careful with alts, but some of them do look good. Let's finish this off with Crude. Look, man, this thing has been an absolute bulldozer or freight train to the downside. But I think, I'm almost hesitant to say this, I think you're starting to get some support here. So I'm going to be looking to make a long for the third time now on Crude, because I don't think that, given the geopolitical variables and assuming that we don't go into some really strong recession in the short term, I don't know why this would keep going down. You've had cutbacks in Russia and Saudi Arabia. Yes, there is a lowering diesel demand, but based off, and I'm not a crude expert, but based off of the analysis I'm seeing, I'm not really understanding why this would keep going down. Maybe it does though, right? But I see it as an opportunity for a long, massive trading range we have here. Basically, I'm looking at it like this. If it gets anywhere closer to here, like 89, 90, 87, that's probably when you want to sell oil. As it starts getting closer to 70 to 75, that's probably when you want to buy oil. So I'm just going to trade it, and we'll just go from there, Gold's pulled back to our level we talked about on Monday, I think it was. Look, this is one I want to be careful on, because this is where I want to long. It is at my level. So what I'm saying is, this is a make it or break it point. So this is a place where you would long. It's testing the, it's retesting the breakout here. But if it doesn't hold, it would be pretty ugly. Like that would probably flush down to 19.15. And if you're using some leverage, that would probably hurt. So it's either a really good long here, or it's going to flush probably to 19.15. So I'm going to watch it. That's what I'm saying. I actually would like to buy it after it has turned around, wait for confirmation on this one. Or conversely, if it breaks down, I'm definitely going to be looking to long it closer to this area, because I do think that gold is going to do well going into the next few months. I just think that it's gotten overextended, and this 2K level has just been an absolute problem for it. So getting some people bailing here, but again, not bearish on it. And then silver, I don't know, guys, to be on this one. This chart is not as obvious to me where this would go. Basically, when gold bottoms, silver's going to bottom. That's how I look at it. But it doesn't look that great right now. As you can see, it's pretty much being, this is what I call distribution. So pretty heavy selling here. I would expect that to break down if gold does. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. If you want to hear more analysis and have some laughs occasionally, come to the Discord. Until next time, happy hunting, friends.